Sorry, stop. Sorry. I didn't hit record fast enough. Let me try again.
You are fired from the recording button. On. Have you ever had a dream about buildings, people, gold, and guns? Welcome, my friends, to Dreams Unwrapped. Let me introduce to you our cast of characters. First, there is the fantastic Faith Frankenfield.
Hey, everyone. Welcome.
And then there's our spirit guru, Sebastian Song.
Howdy.
And then there's our never doubting Tom Swabe.
That's right.
Let's enter and invite our guest, Gabriel Anderson, in right now because we're going to be unwrapping his dream. Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Gabe.
Welcome.
Welcome. This is Gabriel Anderson. And by the way, my name is Tina Winters.
Hey, nice to meet you.
My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm from Abbotsford, British Columbia. My passion in life has always been innovation and invention. From a young age, I was fascinated by how things worked. From taking apart bikes, clocks, radios as a child, my passion grew into what is now a skateboard manufacturing company, New Wave Skate. I began this company after having a dream in the night of building skateboards. Dreams have always been a big part of my life. It was where I first met God, learned about my future wife, and how I received the inspiration to start my business that I'm working on today. I was so happy when I found out about Dreams Unwrapped because they were able to accurately solve the meaning behind a dream. I chose to share my dream of China with the group because I knew there was something about it that was important. I felt like the dream was bigger than me, and if I didn't share it with someone, I would be doing a disservice. I hope you enjoy the dream and the interpretation as much as I have.
Gabe.
Gabe, how have you been? Have you been dreaming a lot?
Yeah, I've been busy, really busy with work, and having our second kid pretty soon in the next couple of days. So.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, let's dive into your dream. Do you want to share with us the dream that you wanted us to take a look at?
So this dream was occurred 2017, and it was kind of one of those dreams that was highlighted enough that it sort of sticks with you over the years, and it's in the back of your mind. But lately it's been kind of coming maybe more apparent to the front of my mind, and so I've been thinking about it more. So so the dream starts out, so I'm in this giant industrial warehouse in China, and I'm walking around, and there's tons of pallets of plywood and just various industrial materials. And I'm noticing, looking up at the roofs of these buildings, and many of them are caving in, and a lot of holes in the roof, and there's just this water that's pouring down through the roofs and onto all this plywood and materials. And I'm noticing everything is basically ruined, warped and very unusable. And then I noticed the workers of this warehouse, there was probably 10 to 12 left remaining, and they were all basically just feeling really hopeless, as it just seemed like everything they kind of knew was gone. And they were all kind of just huddled, sitting in a circle and smoking cigarettes, as it just seemed like that was kind of all that was left. We're just going to sit around and smoke cigarettes and see what happens, you know, what's going to happen. And I noticed on the ground there was a coffee can full of halfway filled with cigarette butts, and then what it seemed like to me was that it was the supervisor, or the person that seemed like was in charge of the factory, he just became totally hopeless. And then while sitting there, he reached for this shotgun and put the barrel in his mouth and pulled the trigger. And what was surprising though, like rather than dying, all these gold coins just started pouring out of his mouth and onto the ground. And at that point he was on his hands and knees, and there was just this like continual flow of gold coins pouring out on the floor. And then as that was happening, all this heaviness, the hopelessness of the factory just sort of vanished. And then there was just light, and then totally transformation. So
Don't worry if we have a couple of silent spots once in a while. We are just sort of processing. You could just kind of sit and wait and receive. And
yeah, that sounds good.
okay.
Gabe, I have a question. So do you do international trade, or do you work overseas, or like?
Well, at that time, I was working on a deal for some wood veneer, trying to work with some companies to ship over some veneer. And that was back in 2017. And after that, recently, I haven't been, no.
I think what's interesting is when we approach a dream like this, especially in current times where we're worried about COVID, or China has been on the forefront of the news. We're thinking about the elections coming up. We're trying to determine whether this is your dream language, with whether this is really China, or whether this is something that insight that you're receiving from God about a situation that you were in back in that time period when you had it. And whether it's a little bit more literal, but dreams could have more layers. So it's like the Lord could be showing you principles that you would be, some of the same principles that apply then could apply to this dream at a different level or layer. I think what stands out to me is your dream language, and over again trying to understand and realize that that God uses metaphors that are just relatable to you. So there are things that we can pick up prophetically about the dream, that God will give us insight into, and then there are things that are just for you, that are that is your language. Like I have a lot of dreams about hosting people and cooking, and I have dreams about clothes because some of the things in my past. And so God uses those things as a metaphor to speak to me. And so just in getting to know you and picking up, okay, what are the metaphors that God's trying to speak to you, and what's relatable to you? You're an observer in the dream, which is really important. You're just watching. This isn't about you. This is a call that God's giving you to give insight into a situation and also pray about what you're seeing. On the surface level, it's a manufacturing company that you're given insight into, and you're giving insight into the conditions of the company and how it's being run, how poorly the conditions are, and how that's affecting the employees. And so because it's so corporate, I started to wonder, is this more about work and Gabe's work than something that is current events related for right now?
Yeah.
If it's current events, I just saw like some videos about how the Chinese party members, a lot of the party members who are like the connected people, have gotten passports to flee the country because they feel like the Chinese economy has been propped up for years and it's about to fail or something like that. So people are ready to exit. So this talks about something like this. This is very prophetic in a sense that that maybe we from the West, we don't see how it is, but then when you watch videos of how homes are built and how buildings are built in China, just for the real estate expansion, it was just like built not to be livable, just propped up. So this may speak to that. Like, this is very timely, actually, how your dream talks about like people just sitting around doing stuff like this, and like there's like ruins.
Another thing that I think that I picked up on, and it's not necessarily from anything about the dream. I feel like it's a little bit more prophetic, but some of the profits being withheld from the company for personal gain, but it's instead of using the profits or the income to take care of their employees, take care of the roof, the things that are susceptible to damage. And so when all the gold started flowing out of the gentleman's mouth, it seemed to signify all the gold that had been kind of hoarded or stored, or some of this money that had been kept and for personal gain. But then once there was a shift in the management's life and they realized they needed to, things got so bad, it just started to pour out, and more started flowing.
Yeah, I would like to add that it's about gatekeepers and how they were abusing the resources, and when that gatekeeper was removed, that the resource that had been hoarded has been released to people, or it's given to somebody else. So yeah, totally agree on that.
Also, like one of the things that I was highlighted with me as Faith and Sebastian was saying too is this management. I believe it could be also be a metaphor, not just one leader, but a group of leaders on the top. But the decision to take a gun, and usually when a gun has a ability to it's like an authority beyond to reach beyond another oneself. It's authority. The weapon speaks of an ability to reach beyond yourself, but it's in the context of a management, they have power and authority to make decisions. And I believe like some type of decision, it's almost like a life-changing decision that one of these managers or management in the upper levels are going to willingly choose to do. It's going to bring a death to what's kind of like what already with the hopelessness and all the atmosphere of darkness, that I believe like this is going to be because of the choice that the management is going to exercise. It's going to bring a death to that, which is it's a major decision. And like at the beginning I kind of like Faith was talking about, it's an observation dream, more about not so much about you. I know you a little bit, so I kind of got thrown off. I focused on that. But then I looked back at it, I saw that you were just observing. You weren't interacting or anything, so that's real key. Like there's no interaction between you and others. So that made me right away just, it's not about him. Just the immensity of the problem too. Yeah, I noticed too that you say there were buildings that were connected, like there's several buildings seeming to connect. So it's almost like it's speaking of a massive effect upon the whole industry, like you were describing. But the connection too is really important, because it's like a domino effect. When the one top starts to make that life-changing decision, it's going to a domino effect on everything else. It's going to release an effect on all those connected with that industry. So I was kind of seeing that too as well.
So Gabe, you're in a place that is foreign to you, or that's different than what you're used to. And there's a group that is supposed to build something, and it's connected to other companies or other groups that are similar. They have what they need as far as the materials to rebuild, but because there is no covering or protection, hence the rooftop broken and leaking, and the team is nervous and anxious. They're smoking cigarettes, usually calms nerves, and the team is losing hope. So the products are wasted, which means that the gifts of the team isn't being utilized. So basically, so when the leader dies to himself and trusts the team to do what they know to do, then favor comes in abundance, and they will have more than enough, and the project can be completed.
Death and dreams are really interesting. I mean, this is a very graphic dream, but death is usually symbolic. We had a dream where we talked about death in a different episode, but a lot of the time it's symbolic to a change in a person or someone dying to themselves and their own wants. So it probably wasn't literal that he would commit suicide. It was literal that maybe someone would look at this as what he did is stepping aside and kind of making a sacrifice. Someone might look at that as suicidal or a career killer, but character-wise, that's the best thing that a leader could do, is step aside and sacrifice himself for the rest of the team. And that helps the team grow. Like Tina was saying, it helps the team be able to do what they're called to do and what they know to do. And also just highlighting what Tina was saying about the cigarette butts on the floor and in the can. That was really significant of the desperation and the anxiety that the situation is causing. This is a really high pressure environment, and as people are under stress and they're finding ways to deal with their stress, but they're unhealthy ways of dealing with that.
Yeah, and the key to it is that this leader humbles himself and steps aside and lets his team shine. Taking a servant leader position. Any of what anybody is saying ring true?
Yeah, it all sounds accurate. I'm trying to piece together kind of what Tom was talking about, this corporate domino effect, and then whether or not these other interpretations, are they on a personal level, or is it have to do with the corporate China, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's about you, but I feel like it's God giving you an insight to something that's going on in a different situation and a warning to you, so that you know, hey, this might not be a company that you would want to work with, or this is what's going on in this company, and you should be aware that that's happening. And also an awareness that maybe this might be a situation in China as a whole, and it might not be one specific company, but it could be just manufacturing in China in general, or in that industry. You're saying it was there were plywood. You work with wood? You still work in industrial?
Well, it was for a skateboard manufacturing. I was wanting to order veneer.
Okay.
And the dream was primarily about plywood. I wasn't wanting to order plywood, but it was primarily just massive stacks of plywood that were basically ruined. So yeah.
That's interesting. Is there anything that you think, because I feel like we have dreams in our past that are relevant to us in the past, but then they come back to us in our memory. And so I'm curious about whether there's something in your heart that connected you to this dream for now?
Yeah, I guess on a similar level was on the personal aspect of not dealing with China for business, just to be cautious, because they might be going through some massive things. And then on a bigger level, when this dream really started clicking back into my mind, it was pretty apparent that it had been. And I started going on the news, and I was seeing the flooding that was going on in China, and that they haven't had this many floods in 70 years. And then,
wow.
Yeah, and it was a really massive deal on that side of things. And then also with trade transaction being somewhat on the really dicey side, their relations with other countries right now is pretty icy. So I was kind of seeing some corporate level possible interpretations too, but you know, it's nice to hear from you guys some kind of confirmation too. So yeah. And for me personally, I don't see the destruction as a negative thing. I always like to stay in the hopeful.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see freedom in China, you know, and a transformation. And I think I don't want to look at the negative, but I like to see things in a hopeful light. So yeah.
That's that really shows a whole lot with the ending of the dream. You know, the outcome of all this.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging.
Mm.
And, you know, hopeful. That's what I liked about the ending of the dream.
Yeah, me too.
All the devastation. You know, the outcome is going to be redemptive and restoration.
Yeah.
As long as he does what is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you come in the application of just, you know, being able to pray that leaders and that managers are moved to do the right thing and to put back their efforts to make the sacrifices that they need to for the business as a whole to flourish and not for personal gain. And as a country, I think this could be an issue going on a government level where the government really needs to keep the people in mind and the morale of the people in the country, that they need to put money and resources back into the people so that they have a higher morale, and just like this idea of sacrificing yourself for the betterment of everyone around.
And it could be that you're to look for that person to connect to that supports their team and that allows their team to do what they need to do. Then maybe you'll know that's the right place to go. It's the character of the leader.
Do you have any questions for us, Gabe, or any comments?
Oh no. You gave me more than I have, so I don't have any questions. So no. Not really. No.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your dream with us. And you know, we'll send you a summary. And anytime you have a dream, you let us know.
Yep, I'm gonna do that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gabe, for coming.
All right, have a good day.